It's Cinemassacre's Monster Madness around the world. Today's film is from Egypt, but we're not talking about mummies because isn't that the most familiar monster character that comes to mind when you hear of Egypt?
Oh, I hate mummies.
It's not often when you hear of a movie made in Egypt, but the country has produced all kinds of films over the decades. The film today is called Fangs, and oddly, it's also known as the Egyptian Rocky Horror Picture Show because its plot is very similar to the point where you're not even sure if it's a ripoff or parody. It's about a young couple who are caught in a thunderstorm and have to spend the night at a creepy old castle where there happens to be a party where they meet all kinds of characters. There's even a narrator character who's interjected from time to time, so you can see how it's very similar to Rocky Horror. It does leave you wishing you were watching the real Rocky Horror. I miss seeing Tim Curry's Dr. Frankenfurter, but still, the host character here is a vampire of sorts. Unfortunately, there's no meatloaf and no great songs like Time Warp.
Just a jump to the left.
The songs in this movie are, well, check it out. The English lyrics and the subtitles are especially fun to read. Speaking of the music, one funny thing about these kind of movies is the carefree use of well-known themes. They just rip the theme from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Jaws, Pink Panther, and James Bond. What makes it so funny is that they're not trying to reference these films, they're just stealing the music as if they're assuming you haven't heard it before. In this scene where two characters are duking it out, they play the theme from Hammer's Dracula, but on all the punches you see words appear, which I'm assuming is supposed to be like the bam and pow in the 60s Batman.
Holy hieroglyphics!
So my head is spinning trying to sum up all the things this movie takes from. This film is so bizarre, it left me with a blank feeling of not knowing what to say about it. So I'll just say, check this out. Or this. Or this. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's actually kind of a miracle this movie exists because from what I've heard, the horror genre in Egypt at the time was very taboo. Also, nudity and the whole sexual nature might have been an issue for them too, so that's why they might have avoided recreating all of Rocky Horror's scenes. But despite all that, the strange thing, I should warn that there's this part in the beginning which is straight up appalling, and we're not showing it, but in the opening song, there's a cutaway to a chicken getting its head cut off. And I mean the real thing. What the fuck? But the censors had an issue with all the other stuff? Anyway, it's a very slow film, lots of dialogue where it leaves you wishing for either more crazy dance scenes or more horror. So you really gotta be in the mood for some kind of cult weirdness. It's funny to see all the rip-off moments or parodies or whatever exactly it's trying to do, but I don't really recommend it, only for curiosity's sake.